What's up, growers? Welcome back to the Big Chino Growers Podcast, and I'm your host, Cody. Today we're going to be talking RSO Rick Simpson Oil. Be going over a little bit of the experiments that were going on back in the 80s with cannabis. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the things that are going on in Arizona, especially sales. But first, let's talk about February. We're in February now. February comes from the Latin word to smoke, since it was the Roman month for purification. So, let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and smoke to that right now. All right, smoking some Bruce Banner tonight. One of our favorite strains. It's a really heavy hitter. We really enjoy growing it. If you can get your hands on some, you should grow it too. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about these sales. We got this article out of the Arizona Family. We're seeing massive sales, okay? We got first year recreational cannabis sales surpassed 1.2 billion in Arizona, right? So this is coming out of CBS 5. It's been a year since the first legal sale of recreational marijuana began in Arizona, and state officials are reporting that gross sales have surpassed more than $1 billion. And it goes on to say that rarely does an industry produce over 1.2 billion in revenue in its first year. Well, hey, that just goes to show you that people were waiting for this moment. We've been waiting for this moment all our lives pretty much, and now it's here. The numbers show that legalization of cannabis is something Arizonans believe strongly in, and many benefits, and it contributes to the state's economy drastically. Okay, and that's what we're seeing. The state's saying that tax revenue generated, it exceeded 190 million before including December sales. So this is great. Okay, this is great for Arizona. This means that the state of Arizona is on track to receive $215 million in tax revenue for 2021. So, they can't argue with that. At this point, it's a win-win situation, okay? Everyone's getting their money. Law enforcement, education, everyone's getting their cut, right? This article says that it's been more than more than had been estimated, because the state's legislature had expected that the legal recreational cannabis was supposed to generate 166 million. So they had no idea that this is what was going to happen. Arizona's first year surpassed other western states. So, including Nevada. So this is major for us. This is great. One thing with Arizona is the tax revenue. 16% here in Arizona. I don't know what that compares to in other states. In my opinion, that's pretty high. But this is where we're at. This is what it is. One thing that I did note, and I'm sure there's legislators down in Phoenix that have taken notice that when it first took off, this was back in November, this was our biggest tax revenue, over 20 million they raked in. Okay, and then what I'm seeing though is slowly it's drastically a drastic decrease. So from a year from now, it was we've drastically decreased down to just under 6. Looks like just under 6 billion. Okay, I spoke earlier. It was with a B. Okay, So yeah, and these are major sales that are being seen. Huge taxes being collected. So this is great for us. We knew that this is what was going to take place, even though historically this is a pretty conservative state, but it shows that this is a nonpartisan, it's really not a political issue anymore. This really comes down to just human rights, and we all have the right for, if we want to produce our own medicine, we should be able to do so. We should be able to utilize the cannabis plant for whatever means that we see fit. Okay, we're not, as long as we're not harming anyone. The state and the federal government needs to get on board next. What they're going to find is they're going to be getting their taxes. That's not going to be a good thing, but I'm just saying maybe that's probably what the federal government's going to start seeing here. So we can see that we're probably going to see an increase in taxes on cannabis, but I think what we're going to also see is more and more home growers popping up. And that's great. That's great news. We love to see that. There's no reason that more and more people can't start growing their own cannabis in their homes. If they have the means to do it, go outdoors. By all means, go outdoors. Grow. One thing that most people don't understand in Arizona is you do have the legal right for per household. You have 2 adults. You can grow 12 plants outdoors, okay? Most people think it's 6. I've heard 5. I mean, most people truly were never even educated on the actual legalization here in Arizona. They just know that they can now go to a dispensary, okay? That's pretty much where we're at. So, it's going to take a while before we educate enough folks. There's enough organizations out there like Normal and others that are doing their best to educate people. And we want to, as we said before, we want to create this platform for other folks that can actually, they might want to get in touch with us, provide us with some ideas that we haven't thought of. They might have some issues that we might be able to help them out with. So, we got this platform now, and we're really happy that we're able to use it. So this is, again, this is great news for Arizona. I'm pretty sure next year, they're not going to see these drastic sales. Of course, everyone and their grandma, literally everyone and their grandmother went down to the dispensary just to buy it and just to smoke it, and there was folks that were turned off. There's folks that, were hooked. So, it kind of went both ways. But I think as we get into this further, you're going to see more and more exciting things coming out of the state of Arizona. So this is cool. All right, let's get into RSO Rick Simpson Oil. All right, so a lot of us have heard this term. Rick Simpson Oil has been around for quite a while, actually. Rick Simpson, unless I'm mistaken, he was Canadian. But, through his own experiences and his experiments with cannabis, he was able to actually cure his skin cancer, and he really it became this phenomena that people just really couldn't get. They wanted to get their hands on it, and now that the both dispensaries have it, folks are starting to make their own. It's really catching on. So tonight we wanted to kind of go over Rick Simpson Oil. And the way that we make it here at Big Chino Growers, okay? So, getting into that, it basically, to get down to the story, Rick Simpson created this, as a way of treating cancer. However, it turns out that this oil can be used for treating just a plethora. I mean, just so many things. It's a remarkable what they're starting to do. and the thing is that the medical industry, of course, is known for a very long time that there's other treatments for all the medical symptoms and conditions that they provide over-the-counter drugs for. Okay, so pain relief, we've got appetite stimulation, ADHD, believe it or not. And the true story, I've met someone that was a stutterer, okay? Before he actually was prescribed cannabis, he was full-on stuttering and had a very hard time speaking, okay? I met him through, we had both worked together, and because it was a public, speaking, basically, he just couldn't do it. So he ended up quitting, leaving. And I ran into him probably a year or two later at a dispensary. I was working there, and he came in and he was speaking to me, and he didn't stutter once. It was a totally different man. It was totally different. He was completely transformed, and I was completely shocked. I didn't know that was one of the treatments that they had been prescribing. And it was just remarkable. So just wanted to throw that out there. They're treating Alzheimer's, anxiety, and depression. Okay, this is something that is really, really something that you need to experience if you are going through anxiety and depression. Okay, cannabis and the use of Rick Simpson Oil is something that we're going to start trying more and more here at Big Chino Growers. Okay, it's being used for arthritis, asthma, autism. Okay. Cancer, which is huge, okay. Diabetics are getting some benefits. Epilepsy and seizures, okay. My nephew was one of the youngest at the time, I don't know if he still is, patients here in Arizona. He was on, a certain type of very, very, very heavily dosed, Rick Simpson Oil. And, it really did work. This stuff is remarkable, okay? Fibromyalgia, gastrointestinal illness, glaucoma, hepatitis, HIV, and other types of those diseases, inflammatory autoimmune conditions, okay? Migraines, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, PTSD, okay? There's a lot of veterans that are already experiencing the use of it and the benefits, and then there's also those that just can't get it. The VAs are just not working, okay? They're not helping us out, so we need the VA on board with this, okay? It's helping out with schizophrenia, various types of mental disorders. We got, skin diseases, spinal cord injuries. The list goes on. It really does. Traumatic brain injuries. So there's folks that really, really have a hard time going through their daily lives. Some of them, it's gotten to the point where they can no longer eat because of all the various stresses. Okay, we all know that cannabis can improve your appetite. There's various strains out there that we grow specifically because we know they induce, they get you hungry, okay? Super Silver Haze is one of them. We do like to grow it. It's one that's known for, getting the munchies, okay? More and more, as I grow older, I'm finding that it just doesn't do that to me, okay? That was something maybe younger. So, but, let's just, talk about, as far as, ingesting it, an oral ingestion of THC is, it's slow and unpredictable, but, its absorption is basically, so it's based on numerous variables, stomach contents, your gastric acids, your dose, basically your body weight, presence of other drugs can have an influence, okay? Alcohol, these other types of things can have various types of effects. Those of us who use it on a daily basis are going to be used to it. Someone that has never tried it or hasn't tried it since the 60s is in for a ride, okay? The cannabis that's being grown now is not what your uncle was growing back in the 60s, okay? Stuff's a little bit different. So with oral ingestion, it's a whole different way of thinking. It can within 2 to say 4 or 6 hours, you're still heavily dosed and medicated at that point. Whereas smoking it, depends on the potency of it. Could be 1 to 2 hours, up to 6 or more. It just depends on the strain, of course. Sublingually, people are starting to take it under the tongue, which apparently is one of the quickest and most effective ways for ingesting it, at that level. So sublingually, CBD, everything else topically. People are using it topically. The application of cannabinoids is, is different. The lipophilic, excuse me if I butchered that name. Basically, it's not going to penetrate deeper than the layers of the aqueous part of your skin, okay? The few top layers, okay? So this is what we want to hit for folks that might be experiencing various types of pain, arthritis, shingles. There's various types of skin issues can be irritated, so you got to be cautious of that too, okay? And believe it or not, rectal. This actually dates back to the times of the Egyptians. They found evidence of cannabis being used as a suppository for various ailments. So we know this is being used. Ancient China as well. They were using various types of suppositories and teas. So we know this is very effective. Now as we're into the 21st century, we've got transdermal patches. Okay, so we've got so many different ways of getting it into our bodies now. There's various ways that are very effective. There's ways that not so much. So, but here at Big Chino Growers, we make a form of Rick Simpson oil. As some of you may or may not know, the base, it's made with alcohol, okay? You want your 99% or higher. That's how it began, okay? People are using isopropyl alcohol. At Big Chino Growers, we don't suggest using that. You can use whatever you like, though. I would rather use a high octane, Everclear, if I were to be doing that. So, but this is today's podcast. We're actually going to be describing the way that we make it, which is we'll be utilizing coconut oil. Okay, coconut oil, high heat. You always want to try to get your full spectrum, good quality. It's it depends on your price point that you want to get it. You can use other oils. Different oils do taste differently when you're making this RSO. One thing you'll notice when you're using, we like to use organic coconut oil, refined. The medium high heat is just fine because it's good, up to 365 degrees, and we would never get it that hot. So we're using a crock pot. Okay, so you're never going to overheat it. It's going to be perfectly fine. I wanted to add to the oils again, but you can use almond oil. There's avocado. I've seen the pecan. There's so many different oils out there, but you want to make sure it's a good medium to high heat. So the way we make it on the very first day, so this is a 2-day process for us. So you go ahead and start by freezing your your trim or your cannabis, whatever you're utilizing. Okay, this is basically the same process if you were to be making bubble hash or anything you would want to try to freeze it. Basically, you're trying to separate the trichome from the green leafy material as best you can. Helps the process, okay? And you really want to, once it's frozen, so take it out of your freezer, and then you really want to grind it up, smash it up. You really want to get it fine and ground up as much as you can. That's going to help this process. I wouldn't suggest just throwing a bowl full of bud into a crock pot in the beginning. I think it would take longer, and it might not be as good. It's just the process that we like to use. So you get your various size crock pots, whatever size you use for the batch that you're making. What we like to use and do is, so we'll use, say, the 14-ounce jars. Utilize that, and then you're going to just put your product straight back into your 14-ounce jar, okay? So that's how it'll work. So you get your crock pot. The very first day overnight is going to be on your high setting, okay? We're trying to we want to very rapidly bring that heat up the very first night. Okay, so we're trying to extract this at a higher heat for your first 12 hours. So what we do is we begin with our crock pot. We put in our cannabis. This last batch, if you saw, those of you who follow us could see the video that we put out. We actually did I don't know how many grams we utilized, probably 22 grams or so. We utilized hash that was made from CBD hemp, our hemp plant. So we utilized that, and then we also utilized full spectrum trim of our cannabis from this 2021 harvest. So we put that in our crock pot, turn it on high heat, and then you put in your coconut oil from there. In this video you saw it was more, unfortunately it was one big clump, but if you could get by with it already being in a liquid form, hey, go for it. It just happened to be on a cold day. It has been getting down, actually into the teens here in central Arizona. So yeah, you'll get that into your crock pot. Okay, turn it on high heat. Go ahead and let it go, and you're going to let it simmer. It should, turn to liquid fairly quickly. At that point, we like to mix it up really well. Just make sure everything is really mixed really well. And then from there, every few hours, go in there and stir it up, okay? All the way up until right before you go to bed. Give it a good stirring. It's going to be really hot, and you're going to notice the smell of popcorn, okay? This is normal. You're not going to, hurt it. You're not overheating it. You're not going to ruin it. This is the normal smell of coconut oil once it's heated. If you can't handle the smell or taste of popcorn, then I would suggest maybe a different type of oil. Try avocado, try one of the other nut oils. If you can't get past the smell and taste, maybe this type of Rick Simpson oil is not for you. Maybe the alcohol version is, okay? So it smells and tastes different. It's got a different consistency. Our consistency basically is the same as coconut oil. It's obviously thicker, and it's got some particulate in it, and that's a safe, perfectly good particulate. There's no reason to filter it any more than the one time that we filter it. So it's all going to be a health benefit. So yeah, we'll go ahead and let that for 12 hours. You want it on high heat because we want to extract that as much as possible, and that heat process is also, it's activating the THC, okay? Well, it takes heat to activate it, but this is helping the process. But at this point, our goal isn't to activate the THC really. So we're looking for the benefits of the cannabinoids in the plant, right? We're looking for the health benefits. Okay, we're not trying to get high here. Although with the batches that this batch that we're making, this is something that if it's strong enough, it's something that we're going to kind of stick with for a certain I guess I should say a certain recipe that we'll be sticking with here. So, but yeah, so that first night, again, let it simmer all night on high heat. It's not going to bother the cannabinoids in it. It's not going to ruin anything. Everything's going to turn brown and then turn to basically to black. This is normal. This is what it's going to look like. Okay, your home's going to smell like popcorn. So maybe you should just have a popcorn party, bust out some movies, have fun with this. Okay. This is a fun time when you make your own medicine, or if you're making it for others. That's what we're doing here. We're trying to produce something that's going to be a benefit to folks. All right. We all know that I just stated all the different health benefits and what the different treatments that we're using this for. So we wanted to go over basically once you get it into that first night, okay, first day 12 hours, then goes into the second day. We want to get it on low heat, okay. So now we're just going to let it simmer and do its thing, okay. Just let it do its thing. You can go ahead and stir it whenever you get to it, and then we let that thing go. We definitely want to let it go for at least 48 hours. You can go longer. I wouldn't suggest going longer. I guess you could push it, but 2 days is max it, and that's probably proficient for extraction purposes. And so you'll go ahead and allow that to extract for a full 48 hours. Okay. Now you want to get your mesh, whatever filtration method that you're going to use, you want to get that prepared, get that ready. We'll just simply put it into a clear Pyrex, do whatever you like to do. You could possibly even put your strainer straight over the top of your your jar and go straight back into there if you'd like. So yeah, any method that you want, but the main important thing is that you got to have a good quality filter. You got to filter it. There's all kinds of filters out there. I wouldn't suggest doing a coffee filter because it's very, very slow. But if you feel that you need to get it down to that type of a filtration, then go for it. You can use a paint. You can go to a paint store and get one. That's perfectly fine because any of the material that you see is not, it's not like it's not bad for you. It's something that you would want in your body anyway. Okay, so this is how we do it when we're doing this with oils, with an oil base. So everything is going to look, taste, and smell different than true Rick Simpson oil made with alcohol. And they, and the processes are kind of similar. If you're using alcohol, you're going to be using a rice cooker. Rice cookers, a little bit different than the way that the method of using a crock pot. Okay, because we're simmering, whereas rice cooker, it's a quick process. Okay, you're trying to get that alcohol out as quick as possible. Our process is we would rather it go slower because we're not using any type of chemical alcohol, anything like that. We're just using oil. So, and just as a reminder, those of you who are allergic to nuts, this isn't gonna be the best for you, right? Because these are all nut-based oils. So it's something to think about. So once we get it into within 2 days, remove it from the heat, get everything prepared. Okay, we got our screen in place. We want to make sure that we have our hot gloves ready. It's going to be warm. We want to pour this into the product, into the jar right away. Okay, we don't want it to sit. You don't want your finished product reattaching back into all of your materials. You know, all of your green materials. You want to get it out as quickly as possible. That's what I'm trying to say. So we want to do this in the hot, when it's still hot. Okay, so we get our screen ready to go over our our whatever container we're catching it into. Grab our hot mitts. Make sure we do have a spoon, because we like to make sure everything gets spooned out of the crock pot. Okay, there's a lot of stuff that ends up in the bottom of the crock pot. You want to scoop it all out. Okay, everything. And in our last batch, since we actually used CBD hash, there was actually a lot of, some of the stuff ended up, the thicker, heavier heads were, at the bottom. So you got to scrape it, because of course, just like if you were to make a bubble hash, you're always going to have something at the bottom, so you got to scrape it out, get it all into that screen. Okay, so now begins your filtration process. You got to get that screen up and away from the product, or if it's already set up in your containment jar high enough out, then you do not have any problems. But keep in mind it's hot. Okay, so but you still need to squeeze it, so you may want to use some gloves, but regardless, you're going to squeeze this. Okay, you're going to squeeze inside of your cheesecloth, inside of whatever filter that you're using. You're squeezing it. That's why I wouldn't advise a coffee filter. Those will break, and again, there's no reason to filter it to that fine of a level. Okay, and so anyway, we would get it into our container. Okay, we're gonna let it drip. If you can, hang it. That's what we like to do. Hang it over the container so it drips. You want every last bit of that medicine out of there. Okay, trying to catch it all. And then once we get it in there, from there, let it cool. Okay, let it cool off. Okay, and then this is the fun part. This is when you pretend that you're like a kid. Okay, you got to take the medicine. So you break out with a spoon. All right, get your spoonful of it. Get it ready. And just like when you're a kid, you don't want to try that medicine, and you gotta try it, and you get it in your mouth, and next thing you know, you swallow it, and it literally is like honey. Okay, just the consistency. It's such a nice feeling going down your throat, and you can tell that it's medicine. Okay. So this is what we like. This is why we're doing this. This is what we want to educate folks on. It's a real simple process. You can all do it. It takes time. You do have to have the cannabis or the hemp to do it. We suggest getting a good quality, locally grown cannabis or hemp that that's going to provide you with the benefits that you need. We suggest looking for strains that are high CBD, CBG, CB, whatever you're looking for. Whatever, if you've done the research, you know that there's a lot of different cannabinoids out there. There's the fact is that the research has shown that different strains have different qualities, health benefits, and your receptors are going to react to these different strains. Okay, and once you try more and more of these strains, this is how you're going to find the type that you're going to need to make for your Rick Simpson oil. Okay, and we would suggest maybe making one with that's all sativa. That way you have one for your morning, and then have a separate one that's all indica. Okay, use that one at night. Make some utilize your make some baked goods with your product. Okay, it's oil based, so we just recently put out a no bake recipe. There's hundreds of them out there. You know, the key is you don't want to recook the product and destroy the health benefits. So we're looking for recipes that aren't, you know, high heat and, you know, and such. There's no reason to add additional heat to this. It's already that's the, you know, that's the nice thing about this. It's the process is done inside the crock pot. And you know, you can buy small little crock pots and designate those for your RSO, which is about, you know, it's the best thing to do. You don't want to have your spaghetti sauce in there. And so yeah, we made a nice batch. We created a small little video to just to show you the you know, how pretty it was. Very simple process, and we hope that you guys, all of our listeners out there, you know, if you're something that RSO is something that you want to get into, just go out there and find a you know, there's a million different recipes out there for creating different medicines. Okay, is what we're trying to get at. So you just need to go out there and do your research, find out what some of the what other people are doing and using for whatever ails you. Okay. You know, one of the stories behind Rick Simpson, he actually, I think he had a skin cancer, and he started putting on the skin cancer. Okay, skin cancer went away. So, you know, after time, you're applying this RSO directly, topically to whatever ails you. If you're going to be taking it internally, like I am, you know, that's the best way to do it, and start taking it as a supplement, just like you would your vitamins. Okay. You got to get it in your body. You got to saturate your body, just like with you know, you know, as everyone's buying CBD over the counter. You really got to get it into your system. It's not like aspirin. Okay, you got to saturate your system, get it in your system, and then you're gonna find it's very effective. So this is why we want to make it and then use it. So, all right, listeners, we just want to thank you again for tuning in. This is awesome. This is our you know, 4th podcast. Every podcast is getting better. We did have a few technical difficulties. We do have some better sound. I think you'll enjoy the better sound quality, and especially when we start interviewing our guests. So thank you again for tuning in to Big Chino Growers Podcast. My name is Cody, and you can follow us on Instagram. You can listen to this podcast on Anchor and Spotify. We also are on YouTube. And so we look forward to talking with you guys again. Have a good night.